Hardcore Terraria is one of the game's most difficult challenges. You can't die even a single time, and managing to keep yourself alive in a game designed to kill you, and kill you frequently, isn't the easiest task. But what if we took that idea to its absolute limit? Instead of not being able to die, what if I wasn't able to incur even a single tick of damage? If any enemy hits me, I am dead. If I fall just a little too far, or walk into the thorns in the jungle, crimson, or corruption, then the whole run ends immediately. Just how far can you get with this absurd difficulty? Well, that's what I aim to find out today. After having beat Terraria Hardcore in Expert and Master mode, I figured it would only make sense to continue doing Master mode, because the moment you do Hardcore on one difficulty, you can't simply lower it, especially when you're a YouTuber and everybody's watching. So I set the world to Small, a random evil, and Master mode. This is going to be an absolute pain, and I don't expect to live for more than a minute. Even a minute would be an accomplishment, actually. I'm pretty bad at not being hit by slimes. Oh, I also randomized how my character looks because, let's just say, I've done a lot of these runs and it's simpler this way. It doesn't take long for slimes to attack spawn, which is why I had to chomp down trees super quickly and set up a nice little home for safety. I have to rely on the guide to clear some of these slimes for me, and I wanted to add a door so he can get back inside without dying, but of course the slimes are a little in the way, so this will require finesse. I quickly started learning strategies for survival, such as chomping down trees from behind a door, waiting for a slime to be just about dead from the guide before opening it and finishing the slimy boy with a pokey from my sword. I set up the houses to be suitable for NPCs with a workbench for my table. I was actually thinking I'd need a bunch of wood for armor, but then it occurred to me I can't get hit, so I guess there's no need to increase my defense, and thus there's no point in any armor if it doesn't have a modifier other than defense, so no wood armor for me. I guess I can use it for other, more useful things. Now, previous hardcore runs taught me that a good spawn is essential to survival in this type of challenge, so I ventured off to the left until I saw a slime in my way, so I returned back, but of course 2 slimes were waiting for me over there now. Doubtful of my skill and not having time to mine, I built a quick wall on either side of me that was just tall enough to prevent the slimes from jumping over. Do I know how many blocks these things can jump? No, but it would seem the answer is 7. I need a ranged weapon. I can't keep living like this, so afraid of enemies that I dare not approach them, so I collect a bunch of stone with which I can craft a whole lot of arrows. A new slime is in the way of me and my house, but this time I make a much more efficient and effective safety box. Would have done this instead of walls before, but there was a dumb tree in the way. Who knew the mere existence of a tree could be a threat to my survival? At the house, I made a wooden sword, a bow, and a bunch of arrows. The sword swings around my character's body rather than poking, so it'll have a lot more coverage, and the bow is useful in a hitless run for obvious reasons, I think. Now I'm more than capable of doing some actual exploration, so I head to the right side of the world, collecting extra wood along the way. To my great relief, there is a cave, but it's not all roses, because it would turn out the Tundra is right next door. And the underground Tundra is a bit more dangerous than the regular caves, in my opinion, but I head down there anyways. I drank a shine potion and wanted to make good use of it, so hopefully there will be easily accessible treasure. I did also stop to mine some of the ores along the way for improved weapons. The most important thing I can find down here is a recall potion or magic mirror. There's no way I can safely travel back to the surface, and any hardcore run, even non-1 HP ones, require an easy way to escape back home in case I find myself in a bad situation. Thankfully, I found one which wasn't ideal, as I'd rather not be left potionless after using it, so I'll have to be sure to get another one while I'm in the caves, but at least I have the one. It'll greatly improve my odds of survival. Hopefully. Speaking of, there's a bat in the cave in front of me, and I'm not liking my chances with warding it off with a wooden bow, so I figured I'd venture down an alternative cave I had spotted a little earlier, and this turned out to be a very good choice. Come on, snowball cannon, come on, snowball cannon, come on, snowball cannon. Ice skates! Oh, I got some silver, got danger sense, some recall, alright. Well, not as good of a choice as I would have hoped. A snowball cannon would have been an absolute game changer at this point in progression. A powerful ranged weapon like that could easily keep me alive for the foreseeable future. A blizzard in a bottle would also have been great for its mobility, but no! I'm stuck with the stinking ice skates. Probably one of the most useless things I could have found in the ice chest. Even with all that said though, pretty sure it prevents me from falling through these blocks. I totally forget if that's a thing that it does, but I think they do, and I just want to look at the bright side at the moment. They're not useless. They can be good. Okay, well, there. Are you happy? They're fine. I mined a vein of silver ore as it's been the most prevalent to this point, so I'll likely be able to get some silver gear and headed to the other side of the cave where 2 undead Vikings give me a good scare. I started making a safety box so I can loot the treasure chest without fear of dying. Oh. Snowball cannon! Game changer. Acquired. I mined some more silver in the ice just above me, but while I did, a few bats started flying my direction. I was hoping they'd bounce off the blocks and end up somewhere other than the path I had just mined, but alas, I did not have such luck and thought it wise to retreat home. I'm already doing so very much better than I thought I would do in a 1 HP hardcore challenge, least of all on my first attempt. I'm hoping that I can, at the very least, defeat King Slime. That is my big objective. Killing just one boss would be such a huge accomplishment in this challenge, and in my mind, would be enough to declare this whole thing conquered. So that's the goal. Kill King Slime. The snowball cannon is definitely a good enough weapon to handle him, but I have no accessories I could use to keep me alive, and I hardly have any iron with which to make minecart tracks. In fact, I don't even have enough to make an anvil. I'm also starting to run a bit low on basic supplies, so I set up 2 more houses hoping the merchant will spawn in the morning. Rather than farm slimes or search for the caves for torches and rope, I'd much rather just buy those utility items and call it a day. Before that, I knew I needed a metric ton of snow to keep my snowball cannon nice and loaded, so I braved the night, brawling with zombies, using the few hundred snowballs I was able to craft after my time in the Tundra to make my way back to the snowy biome, at which point I drank a mining potion and went down to town. I mined a bunch of snow after being sure to block off the entrance so as to remain undisturbed while working on this task. 1 block of snow is able to make 15 snowballs, but the snowball cannon shoots pretty fast, and considering how it is going to be my main weapon, if not only weapon, I am going to need every snowball that I can gather, but even so, mining with a copper pickaxe, even with a mining potion, it's not very quick business. I still put quite the dent in the side of the hill, I think, and I have collected plenty of snow, I figured, so I headed down this natural cave in the hopes of finding another spot to search for ice chests, but this cave ended up immediately connecting to the one I had already been on, which I guess is okay. I need those movement accessories I had mentioned earlier, and the Tundra would just so happen to have the flurry boots and blizzard in a bottle, which is really more than I would need to take on King Slime, assuming I played well. A squirrel hook or even a regular gem hook would also be a very big help, but we'll take this one step at a time. Or at least that was the plan until an undead Viking was in my way, and I thought to myself that I should gather some more supplies to improve my odds for exploration, and lucky me, the merchant happened to spawn soon after I returned home. And you see, I wanted rope and torches from him, but I totally forgot that he also sells the mining helmet. Armor is useless to me outside of the bonuses that they give, which makes the mining helmet perhaps one of the best armor pieces I could ask for at this point in progression. Emitting a strong light at all times will keep me so much more safe while exploring, and is overall just a very big help. I'm still going to want the torches because even if I can see myself, I still want to light the cave so when I return, I can see what is in front and behind me, but this is huge. I also had to buy the anvil because, yeah, I still don't have enough iron. It's nowhere. I don't know where it is. It's just poof, gone. With the anvil, I made a silver pickaxe and axe. Making the axe almost seems unnecessary, but chopping trees just a little bit faster is handy, and realistically, what else am I going to use the silver for anyways? Might as well, right? With this new gear in hand, I thought I'd try mining straight down to start a elevator and maybe find a cave. There's a few things I'll need to keep an eye out for while doing this. For one, falling could mean instant death, so I can't allow myself to mine into a deep cave, as my only method for recovering is a recall potion, and I don't trust my reflexes will be fast enough to react to that, and I'd rather not waste them. What could be a bigger issue though is enemies falling on my head as I mine, which is more of an issue when you're deeper in the caves than I am now, but any old enemy could spawn in the open areas around me and fall straight down this hole on top of my head, and I know for a fact there is no chance I'll teleport home before they hit me. I could be putting blocks above my head as I mine to prevent this from happening, but nah. After making it a short ways down, I decided to explore the surface a little bit more so I'd have a better idea as to where everything is. The desert was on the left side of the world, and so I chopped up some cactus. I'm so used to doing this on instinct since cactus is very helpful for early game armor, but it's primarily used as for the thorns effect that only works when you are hit by an enemy. So I suppose I could use the armor and then take the enemy down with me, but other than that, the cactus has little to no use other than the cactus sword, which could make sense at this point in progression. The corruption was on the other side, and I really considered blowing up a shadow orb, but I saw the Eaters of Souls and figured it wouldn't be worth it. I was also afraid of the goblin army being able to spawn after blowing up an orb, but now that I think about it, I suppose the army can't spawn at all when I'm doing this challenge, can they? Don't you have to have at least 200 health? Like with the Eye of Cthulhu natural spawn? Or am I mixing things up? Do you only have to blow up an orb, or are there these two stipulations? Either way, I didn't decide to go down into the corruption, and while I was home I considered upgrading my sword with the cactus I had collected, but went with the silver broadsword instead. It's a seemingly obvious choice as the silver broadsword does a bit more damage, but the cactus sword is a chonky boy, and thus is pretty good at keeping enemies away from you so long as they don't have a high knockback resistance. But I went with the damage route and headed down the hole I had dug and mined some more until I came into an opening, but had no luck with it leading into a cave. I mined into some water, and sure, I'm always careful not to drown, but now I can't let those air bubbles go out for even a split second, and a water chest just so happened to be down there. A trident or water walking boots would be great, but instead, I'm given the breathing rod. Can anybody tell me the last time they actually used the breathing rod? I have never found a use for it, but I guess it is funny how this thing works as a weapon. So if somehow you found a water chest super early, then it could function as your primary weapon. I mined some silver and put stuff away in a treasure chest, which just feels great. Actually having gathered enough stuff that I need to store some away feels like a genuine milestone when you're not allowed to be hit even once, or else you'll lose all your stuff. I killed a couple of stink bugs and then figured I'd return to the Tundra for the blizzard in a bottle and flurry boots. I wanted to mine into a different cave underneath spawn as I figured that'd be easier to survive, but with no luck on that front, I suppose returning to the only caves that are open enough to explore is my best option, even if I could encounter little frozen spike slimes, so I'm not looking forward to those. Earlier I had noticed this minecart track below the frozen ice bridge here. It's easy enough to access, but minecart tracks are not exactly the safest thing in the world. Traveling them is an easy way to get yourself hit by something, which isn't that big of a deal in most normal runs, but this is no normal run. Thankfully, no enemies were spawning, so I fell down and went to the left only to be met with a dead end, and after a second or so I headed to the right where I encountered 8th links. These things suck because of how much knockback they take. This does make it easy to prevent them from touching you, but it also makes them hard to kill. Every time you touch them, they fly away and you have to chase them down, which invites all kinds of mistakes. I could avoid killing it altogether, but a Flink Staff summon would be a great help in this run. A bat tried to interrupt the fight, but was really quickly dispatched thanks to the Snowball Cannon. I love this thing, and I managed to pin the Flinks against a wall for a much smoother kill. At the far end of the minecart track was a worse snowball cannon than the one I had, which sucks, but in the cave just above are a few rubies that I'll need in order to craft the slimy crown with which to summon King Slime. Remember, that's all I want to do. Kill King Slime, at which point I'll declare this challenge won. But I need some movement accessories, and this frozen spike slime is in the way on my left, so I headed to the right and mined to a different opening, which just so happens to have another one of those dastardly slimes. I bridged over the thing and tried to box it in, but wasn't able to place the last one block nearly in time and was terrified the slime would just phase through the blocks like the green slime at the start, but he jumped back, so I was fine. But I don't have any good options from here, and mining in the tundra can be a pain, so I returned home and dug up a bunch of dirt. I realized I didn't have a whole lot of any solid blocks with which to box enemies in. I suppose I could have gathered these blocks while exploring the tundra, but oh well, live and learn. I also built a few more homes expanding to the left and to the right. The reason being that I want a long house, not a tall house. That way the NPCs will be more spread out and help prevent spawns on the surface around me. See, even your base building, you gotta really think things through. But I guess I'm not really one to think things through all the time. And that's exactly what happened when I started mining again. Glowing mushroom biome, I'm pretty sure always spawns somewhere beneath spawn, and maybe one of those would have a golden chest with the accessories I'm after. As I did this, I saw a salamander. I was going to kill it from a distance, but then... Oh! Oh, I forgot to make him hardcore, but I died! Gosh darn it. Yeah, I accidentally mined one too many blocks, and of course, it would seem I had forgotten to make the character hardcore one. I actually tried to do this challenge on vanilla before I realized I could use a mod to make my character have 1 HP, and then must have forgotten to make this one hardcore when creating it. But I got hits, and that means the run ends, and I was so close too. I could just taste King Slime. I could have had him, but that was a fun little experiment. No, I am not going to be actually trying to beat the game like this. I don't have that kind of patience. But it was a good time.